Hello, soul family. I am Shannon Pardini, your host of Cosmic Consciousness, coding the new human for the new earth. And today I am super excited to be talking with Laura Grant on the topic of the ascension of the masculine energy within us all. I want to tell you a little bit about Laura. I found Laura on Instagram, and her information that she shares is just so channeled from beyond. It's really guiding all of us to check in with ourselves, with our masculine and feminine energy. And she's just, each day, she's so perfectly aligned with sharing the gifts of better understanding. So to tell you a little bit about Laura. Laura is a spiritual teacher and intuitive coach who utilizes a combination of music, business, education, and studies in spiritual science to provide service for humanity. Laura is a channel for the spirit world who is deeply connected to her ancestors and ancient wisdom. Her professional studies in her early childhood development and the power of play, along with her love for the arts, create a framework for intuitive messages to flow. Through Laura's own personal initiation process, she has come to a level of spiritual understanding that can be conceptualized in an organized manner that is ideal for supporting others, balancing their feminine and masculine energies, clearing the karmic and ancestral patterns, and elevating their frequency within. Laura is a lifelong learner who has accumulated knowledge from a wide array of great thinkers who have dared to share the innovative revelations with the public. But more importantly, Laura's wisdom comes from integrating and applying this knowledge to her own journey and dedicated to assisting with the ongoing evolution of our human collective. So I welcome you, Laura, and I would love it if you would share with our audience as to who you are today and a little bit about our topic of the ascension of masculine energies within us all before we take a quick break.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here today. So yeah, I'm constantly changing, right? So I still am an intuitive coach and teacher, as you read in that description there. And I help people to connect to their higher selves. So to bypass that chatter that comes through from the ego, from our shadow, from all of these repeating loops that can get in the way from and not really allow us to be that direct source. So I just provide that reflection for others, and I do that one-on-one, and I also do that through all the messages that I deliver through my channel on YouTube, and then through my Instagram. I share this information, and it's really kind of just a mixture of my own self-reflection, along with my connection to the collective and the collective energies and the ways that everyone is shifting to clear out old archetypes, old patterns, old thoughts and belief systems, really, as we are all working together on this ascension process.
Beautiful. And if our guest and audience are looking to learn more about you, where could they find you?
So I have, I'm probably most active on my Instagram page, and that's at Laura the Woken Mind. I also have a YouTube channel where I do weekly collective updates on masculine and feminine energy, and that's Laura the Woken Mind. And I also have a website, thewokenmind.com.
Great. And I invite you all to check that out. So we've been talking here with Laura Grant about the ascension of masculine energies within us all. When we come back from this short break, we're going to talk more and really tune into these frequencies. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. And if you're interested in listening to more shows like this, go to activateevolution.com. We'll be right back. And we're back. This is Shannon, and we're talking with Laura Grant today. And I am so excited to deep dive into this conversation with you on the ascension of masculine energy within us all. I truly, truly, truly think this is such an important conversation to be had right now, as we all are either in the balance of the masculine and feminine, really recognizing our patterns. And again, with all the polarities, you can really see where we're off balance. And so again, Laura, where would you like to kick off this conversation?
So yeah, it's such an intense time because so many people are clearing these old patterns. So I think that's probably the best place to start, is
Great.
to discuss these patterns, and why, and look at, why we have them, um, what's going to be happening as we continue to upgrade this masculine energy, and even talk a little bit about, what these patterns, these old patterns, old archetypes, old systems and structures look like in our personal lives, in our communities, and then really on the world stage. Because it's so amazing with the work that I do to be able to see how the inner work is so connected to this collective reality that we are all co-creating.
Beautiful. Well, I'm just going to let you get started because you know the foundation so well here. So I open it up to you.
Yes, thank you, Shannon. So I work with people one-on-one. And a big part of the work that I do is looking at the archetypes that we all have within ourselves. And, my background is in early childhood development. So I can really see how we all kind of established these archetypes within ourselves that are informing our external reality. Because my belief is that everything that we're creating outside of us happens inside of us first. So that's important to remember when we're looking at this balancing of masculine and feminine energy, because the disconnect or the divide or the separation between the masculine and feminine has caused a lot of conflict in the external reality, right? And what has to happen for us to heal this is we can't really approach it from this external way, right? Not alone. We can't do that alone, right? So the true way to bring healing to this earth, to this planet, to the systems here, to everything that we've co-created together, is by doing that inner work. And so many people have been doing this over, it's really over the last like 30 years. There's been just so many amazing souls that have come in, that are here, that are like those warrior spirits that are here to really shift things and change things. And I imagine if you're listening today, you probably are one of them. It's like so many people have been doing this work, and we all have different little pieces. We all work together as like puzzle pieces. And we're getting to this point that we're reaching, collectively and then within ourselves, where our masculine energy is really ready to transition from the old age, the age of, the Pisces age, right, to the age of Aquarius. And I always say that the age of Aquarius is all about our sovereignty. It's all about stepping into our power. And not only is it about stepping into our own power, but it's also about seeing how part of being in our power is our connection to others. So it's a really heart-centered power rather than an egocentric power, which is what we saw in the old age. So that's one of the biggest things that's happening right now, is this shift from this kind of ego-focused masculine energy that we all have been operating on, which is all about, self-service, survival of the fittest, getting ahead, of others, right, at any cost, right? We've seen that for so long, and now we're shifting as the feminine energy comes in and integrates with the masculine. What we're seeing now is the shift where we've got this kind of softer side to our masculine energy. And when I say masculine energy, one way to see this is your ego, right? That's your ego. And as your ego is beginning to align with your soul, that softens it, allows it to come more from this heart space, so this really conscious leadership place, instead of kind of like the sage on the stage, the pharaoh, the king who just speaks down to others, right? We're evening the playing field as we drop into our hearts. And we're seeing that inside of ourselves. And then we're also seeing that outside reflected in the relationships that are going to be able to come together now. There's going to be, a lot of what you could call divinely inspired soul connections. So this could be romantic relationships, this could be business partnerships, this could be the coming together of, like major systems being created, because soul family can kind of finally come together safely. Whereas before we were all kind of scattered throughout the planet, because of that ego, right? All that, like that softening of the ego had to happen so that we wouldn't, in a sense, almost, harm our soul family, right? Because the masculine energy has to be in this heart connected place and connected to the feminine and connected to source and all that information, to stop running the old ego code that's based off of karmic loops, so that we can finally shift towards our soul mission.
Beautiful. Yeah, it's been a wild, I guess, 2 years, really. You can see the masculine energy like never before within ourselves and everything around us. And it really like is a butt kicker, at a certain point, where even when I was doing my clearing on myself, just we all have those narcissistic tendencies and they speak so loud. And when you finally just start seeing them, it's like, whoa, and enough. So you start tracing where those programs actually lead, and it all leads to wounds at, a certain point. But I am so fascinated as to why, we can really see these energies like never before. And I love how you share the balance of it, of, really allowing the feminine in, that soul aspect of us, that receiving and intuitive, to start coming together and to hold this space that starts neutralizing these energies. So I'm just going to let you keep going here.
Yeah, Shannon, those are amazing reflections, because it's so true. We're seeing it more now. We're seeing our patterns, and that really is a representation of us connecting to the feminine, right? To the soul. Because as we connect to her guidance, to the divine feminine wisdom, right? And that intuitive, our abilities and all of that, it allows us to then do that self-reflection work to notice these narcissistic patterns within ourselves, because it really starts within self, right? And then we can see it in others and how it's being reflected back to us in our relationships, in our jobs, our environments, wherever we're at, right? Because we are collectively co-creating our external environment. So, that's one of the main reasons why we're able to see it now, is because so many of us have done the work to connect to our souls. And there's a lot of people who've been like pushed out of jobs, pushed out of relationships, really put in these dark places, right? That dark night of the soul. So many souls have volunteered to go through that so that they could kind of clear the way and start connecting to their feminine wisdom and knowledge, those nudges that are coming from their soul, to really just pause and listen and reflect. And that's, cleared up the space for the entire collective to get to this, this really rich place in our human ascension process, where we can actually begin to take that feminine wisdom all of that information and actually ground it here and make some changes and some shifts in our lives, because we're really not supposed to just do the reflection work, right? That just ends up in a constant loop. And we've seen that a lot with, like light workers, all those, the communities for so long. I would say like for the past like 20 years or so, it's really all been about like the shadow work and the reflection and doing the healing. But now, as that masculine energy is rising, we now have the opportunity to take all of those tools that we have all gained and accumulated over the years, right, and actually put them into action. And that's what makes this such a incredible time in the evolution of humanity, right? Because we're actually going to see all this inner work that we've all been collectively doing actually make some differences in the collective reality. Because before it was almost like we were hitting a wall, right? It's like, I'm doing all this work, but I'm still just going back to the same thing. And it's like spirituality just exists in this container, right? And it's a representation of how our spirituality has always been. We've put it in temples. We've put it in churches. We've put it in these spaces where it's not really truly accessible in the mainstream culture, which then causes that it just kind of reinforces that disconnect between the masculine and the feminine. So this is the time, in this time where we're really stepping into our power, for us to take that wisdom out of the temple, take it out of just, going to a meditation space, take it out of all these little places, these little containers that we've made, safe places for the feminine, and start bringing the feminine along with us. And it took our masculine energy really getting into this place of strength, courage, discernment, being able to protect the feminine, to be able to, take the feminine along with. And I'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like. I'm sure we'll touch on that as we go on, but it's definitely, I feel that a lot of people are feeling a calling to make actual changes for the first time, big changes in their lives.
The energy is high, the creative energy, especially amongst starseeds, wave showers, anyone listening to this, really, the call is loud and the creation energies are like no other. And I love what you touched upon, because we go to, whether it's institutions or healers or, constantly doing our different work of yoga and breath work. What it comes down to is the integration. You can do all that energy work for as long as you want, but it's really come to this point now where we are in this massive creation energy, and what we've learned needs to be integrated. We don't need to keep clearing and clearing and clearing. That's not what we're here for. We're here to integrate both the masculine and feminine energies in a very pure way. And it comes with really taking care of your own temple, your own body, and knowing within your whole body cellular system the feminine and masculine within. So I just think integration is such a beautiful process, and it's where we need to be now, because this creation energy, we just want to, I'm seeing it with all the people I'm around. They're just ready. It's go time.
Yeah, I love that. I love that we are all working together. And one thing that I tend to talk to people about when I do these one-on-one sessions is it can be frustrating. And I know that a lot of us have been, waiting on the masculine, waiting on the masculine energy to step up. Like when is the masculine energy going to step up? And a lot of what my work is about is reminding people that, we cannot wait. We can't sit and just wait for these systems to change. We can't wait for these structures to change. We can't wait to be saved by this external masculine that's going to come in, because we are co-creators, which means that, and just like you were saying, Shannon, it's being very aware of how your own masculine and feminine energy, how they're working together within you internally. And when you understand that, you begin to take back your power. And instead of waiting for this external savior, you begin to realize that the savior is within you. Now, it may be reflected outside of you in all these changes that you're going to see. And you may even bring in people that are going to help you and assist you. I mean, definitely you will be, because what's happening, you know, as soul families are coming together. So we're seeing people play the role of that masculine for someone who's maybe in their feminine energy, right? Who has this wisdom and information, and then someone comes in with the structures and the systems to then allow that information to be expressed. So in a way, we're all, you know, we can play different roles, but what's happening is, again, it's that balance between us, between our energies within ourselves. And as we begin to trust in both the feminine and the masculine and see their worth, what happens is a lot of people are noticing that those little nudges, those dreams, those visions that they've had, those things that they just knew they were supposed to do. And many people will say, I knew when I was a child, you know, I knew as soon as I came into this world that this is what I was supposed to do, but I put it aside because I was pulled back into ancestral patterns, you know. And then a lot of that has to deal with guilt and shame. And I talk a lot about like that dark mother archetype that's all about, you know, you've got to do this to make the family happy, or you've got to do this to keep everyone happy. It's all about this people pleasing and keeping up the show. So for so long, we've just allowed the feminine to exist in these safe containers, and then we've kind of left her to the side, right? And then we've kept up with the appearances on the outside. So we've done jobs, or we've stayed in relationships, or we've stayed in areas that feel safe, that feel like, you know, comfortable, and that appease these collective energies of like karmic patterns and all that. So we're finally getting to this point where we're all strengthening our masculine energy enough to say, wait, no, this isn't who I am. This is not who I truly am. This is not what I came here to be. And I'm not worried anymore about what other people think about me. It's more important for me to honor my feminine, to honor my soul, and to be in balance within myself and at peace within myself than it is for me to keep up this whole facade in order to keep external people happy. So it's really, and this is what came up with the collective energy I picked up on this week, was that it's so important for us to, you know, get to this place where we understand that it's a balance between self and collective, right? So it's not really about, it's moving out of the selfishness, but it's also still allowing the needs for self to be put first too. So it's aligning with your higher self, because when you align with your higher self and your true purpose and you're in your authenticity, that's when you realize that when you're really in true alignment and at peace, any sort of work that you do for self is also just going to naturally be the work that serves others.
And I think that needs to be repeated and heard. Again, it's when you are doing the self-love work, when you are, you know, in awareness of the masculine feminine balance you are doing within, and you're paying attention to the energies around your body, what feels discordant, well, that's what's keeping you tethered. And you know what feels light and frequency, when you choose to move towards the lightness and the balance, it is truly who you are at an authentic frequency, and it is aligning these masculine feminine energies, and with that it outpours this frequency onto the collective. And how amazing is that, by design, that each one of us gets to share in this balancing of this planet and the multiverse, you know. So again, thank you for bringing this to our attention and our awareness of just how powerful of co-creators we truly are.
Yeah, I think it's just so amazing. Like you said, it's the design. We are just naturally designed that when we are resonating at the frequency that is our authentic frequency, we're just naturally designed to be in service to others. And it's not coming from this false place that we've seen in the past, where it was almost like you had to set your needs to the side You had to set your desires, everything to the side in order to show up for others. It was very, this almost like punitive type of self, of rather, service to others, right? The selflessness. And as that masculine energy is rising, as masculine energy is ascending, we're not doing that anymore. We're really stepping into this place of authority within ourselves where we understand that, when we're truly in alignment, things feel good instead of really hard, right? Instead of like constantly hitting walls and working hard and hustling, that like hustle nature. All of that is what's really getting cleared out with this ascension process with the masculine, right? Because as the masculine makes space for the feminine, our masculine energy realizes, our ego realizes that our natural state is flow. And we have the ability to call in partnerships, opportunities, all of these things through just being in this natural nature of like inner peace, rather than having to hustle, hustle, hustle and chase that dream, right? It's more so going in and checking in with self and then allowing the feminine energy to call in what resonates with your frequency.
And that energy will. It is so intuitive and it's so empowering when you balance these two, because when the feminine feels supported by that masculine energy within, it's just like you said, everything is so much easier. Everything that you're intuitively manifesting comes into frequency because it's actually a frequency match now. You can allow the things that you love and want to support in creation. Well, those are only going to come if you're balancing the masculine and feminine of that creation within. So it's beautiful that our bodies can attune to this. So with the audience and really integrating and digesting this conversation, pay attention to how your body feels when you're listening to this, and really just kind of set some time for yourself to reflect on, where is my masculine energy? Where is my feminine energy? Are you trying too hard? Are you disconnected from those two energies? It may seem confusing, but again, when you're balancing these energies, they're not overpowering. They're not fighting to get creations done. They are working in an alchemical process, which feels very neutral, and it just opens up a space for each of them to hold each other.
Absolutely, Shannon. I love that you mentioned that it's so important to really feel, because I really believe that that's, one of the main parts of the shift into the new age is that we are learning how to feel our way through life rather than think our way through it. And of course, with the balance of the head and the heart, we do have to have that thought process come in as well. But for so long, we've really numbed those feelings. We haven't allowed those internal nudges. That's just, it's like when you go somewhere and you're just like, this is off. Or you go in a direction, right? And it's off. That's your feminine energy coming in and telling you, right, this isn't working. And we all feel it. We all know it's there, but our masculine energy hasn't been strong enough to protect our feminine and say, okay, I'm feeling my feminine screaming, right, in this situation. I'm going to honor her. I'm going to protect her, and I'm going to speak up, and I'm going to make changes. I'm going to change things in my life so that I'm no longer doing things that don't feel right to my soul, that don't align with my soul. And that's what's allowing these big shifts to happen in this, on the world stage, right? Because when people start doing that, when people start standing up for their soul, that's when we see things changing in the physical reality, because people then will actually take action to protect their feminine. And when they do that, that's when they have the ability to get into that state of alchemy where they can call in soul family and then get like the real things that they're really supposed to do going, right? Get the ball rolling so that we can actually change things and we can start building these new systems and structures and creating this new earth.
And change happens fast. When we jump into this authenticity of balancing the feminine and masculine, your creations will come to fruition so fast, and your soul tribe will show up. It's already there in alignment, right? It's just waiting. It's like, are you going to do it? Are you going to do it? It's truly an incredible process. I find myself in awe daily of, I love the age of Aquarius. It's just been so fascinating on all extremes, but I'm in awe every day seeing people truly attune and tap in to what's going on with themselves and wanting to just make a change, even if it's the most subtle change. I'm watching people do the baby steps daily and making those changes, and you can already see how helpful that is, because our structures are getting buried. It's so I know everyone who's on this call, we are all doing it because you can see the collapse. But I do want to mention that we're so supported. It's like holding this field of energy. There is so much creation to be had for New Earth. And Laura, I just love this conversation. What more do you want to jump into? Do you want to share anything with integration with where the collective is at right now, or you got any more channelings coming through?
So I think, you touched on believing and trusting that we're not alone, right? I think that's so important, Shannon, that you brought that up. And I feel that that's something that really is important to convey right now, because this trust in that divine masculine energy, we talk a lot about the divine feminine. We've heard a lot about the divine feminine because we've been really working to ground her. She's that free-flowing, creative, intuitive, connected to the natural world energy, right? And she has been rising. But we're also now seeing her counterpart, the divine masculine. And the divine masculine is all about creating that safe, secure space. It's like this divine father archetype that we all have to trust in. And this requires us to reprogram any betrayal wounds, fear, anything that we've created, any of these projections that we've created from the way the masculine has shown up in the past. With like the distorted patriarchy type energies, all of that, or it could just be even with your own, family situation, your own father, or, any of these masculine archetypes. And it doesn't have to show up as a male, right? It's energy, right? So any way that the masculine energy showed up in your life where you felt you could not trust, we're working to dismantle that as we create this new archetype of this divine masculine. And it really requires all of us to trust that we are capable of rewriting these codes, so to speak, right? And recreating the earth that we desire. We're capable of creating heaven on earth. So instead of like looking at things and saying, oh, look at all these problems, there's no way to solve any of these problems. Well, when the divine masculine and the divine feminine come together, there's this clarity, and then there's this strength and determination that comes from the masculine side that says, no, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to fix these issues because this is my planet. This is where I live. There's nowhere to escape to, right? This is where I belong. And if this is where I belong and I'm collectively co-creating this with all of humanity, then I have the power to fix it. And that's Christ consciousness.
Oh, I have chills. So beautifully said. Yeah, it's just an alchemical process that each and every one of us has within, and we are doing it together, and you can feel it. It's just talking in this subject makes me want to go co-create like 1,000 projects at one time. And again, it's a process. We all come into our balance in due time, but we're here to share with you insightful ways to feel into it. Laura, you've just been such a joy to have today. Is there any other things you want to mention before we go?
Yeah, I'm just so grateful to be here, Shannon, because I feel that, this is just these conversations like this that are just so rich and timely, right? Are just an example of what's happening, right? Because all of the people that need to come together are coming together as our masculine energy works to dismantle all that old coding that kept us in these old loops. So, I guess I would like to just, leave this with offering everybody this opportunity to step into that divine masculine energy and really feel safe and secure, feel grounded to this earth, feel the sense of belonging, feel the sense of purpose and knowing and determination that we can make a difference and that we can take back and call back any of these parts of ourselves that have been, spread throughout our history, our own personal history and the history that we've created in humanity, right? And call back all these little pieces of ourselves and become extremely, centered and whole so that we then can take that wholeness and give it back. And just like, I'm seeing just a vision of it, just like overflowing, right? Our cup being full and then just spilling over onto the earth and just filling any sort of voids that we have here in our planet. It's like I'm almost seeing like a geyser of water coming out of the tops of our heads, right? And going out and just filling out all these little voids and replenishing the earth and healing the mother. And I'm seeing it happening. I know that it's happening. We're all doing this. Our hearts are being activated. Our minds are aligning with our hearts, and our masculine and feminine energies are coming together in this sacred union.
That's just such radiant alignment through that. My whole body was shaking and just the chills coming in, which means yes, 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 yes. I feel it. It's happening in your vision. I applaud it because it's beautiful and it paints where we are at today. I love it. And where can people find you, my dear?
Yes. So you can find me on Instagram at Laura the Woken Mind. And you can find me on YouTube with weekly updates, Laura the Woken Mind. And you can also find me on my website. That's where you can book a session with me. It is thewokenmind.com.
Love it. You're just, again, thank you for being here with me. And this has been an awesome conversation. And I'm super excited that I get to co-create together in the quantum fields with you. So I am going to do a wrap and thank you everyone here for being with me at Cosmic Consciousness. If you would like to hear more podcasts like this, visit activateevolution.com. If you want to know more about me, you can go to my website, shannonpardini.com. And thank you for checking us out on Superpower Network. Laura, you're a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shannon. This was an amazing experience. And again, I'm so grateful.
I agree. We'll be doing more. Talk to you soon.
Absolutely.